Police can make you mad, Grindr can make you sad, but sperm can make you glad. Coming up today on The Point. Hello and welcome to The Point, the only talk show bringing gay and straight men together to see what happens. And hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Welcome back. The last time I welcomed you back, you said you were engaged. So I'm welcoming you back again.
Are you married? Are you divorced? Where have you gone since?
We finally picked a venue.
Oh!
Yes, and RSVPs have been sent out, so we're pretty
here?
happy.
I did not get
well,
one.
not in this space, but it is in Toronto. Yeah.
I meant this.
Yeah, it's a nice restaurant that we picked out that is very Art Deco-ish, so it's going
cool.
to create some nice pictures, which I believe is important.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
don't.
you're told.
Yes,
so
that's
you're
exactly
told.
it.
Well, you'll have to keep us up to date on all the wedding plans.
Yep, and when we get closer, we'll maybe have everybody follow the hashtag for our wedding.
Ooh,
Yes.
every wedding needs a hashtag.
Is it
think so.
hashtag love?
No, God.
Is it hashtag Pizza Hut?
We were
Already
that'd
followed.
be amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We should put something like that, and maybe get some corporate sponsorship. Maybe some free pizza. Yeah.
Our wedding was sponsored by Pizza Hut.
Well, unfortunately, I have to start off with a rather somber talking point number one, to catch a killer. This is a local Toronto story that actually turned into made international headlines. Bruce MacArthur, who I'm not putting his photo up, he is an alleged serial killer. And so far there are 5 victims whose photos
They know about.
that they know about. Yeah. Andrew Kinsman, Salim Essen, Majid Kahan, Sarush Marmoudi, and Dean Lisowick. I think it's important to say the victims' names because the alleged killer's name is always said, but nobody knows the other names. The reason why this has become an international story is mainly because of the way the police have handled it, the local police. For a long time, they were saying they didn't have evidence that there was a serial killer, even though there were a number of men who went missing in and around the gay neighborhood here in Toronto for many years. Zaid and I were talking about this a little bit before we started rolling as to whether or not the police were slow on the uptake to investigate this properly, and if so, what was behind this.
So we won't be talking about it on the show.
No. 5 of the 4 men who they have identified as victims so far are Middle Eastern or come from the South Asian community. The final victim, and there was a lot of press around him, Andrew Kinsman, was white, and that's when people started paying attention. How do you think the police have handled this?
Shitty. One word. I think they didn't do a great job. I think they had more than enough warnings. They had they had several warnings from the community, from several organizations that are pro, LGBT communities of color, saying that, there's a killer out there. All these people are Middle Eastern. They're in the same age group. They're vanishing from the same place. And, that usually implies some kind of connection between all of them. But earlier on, before these developments happened, like September or something like that, I read police reports, or at least statements from the police, saying that this is absolutely not a serial killer. Like, don't worry about it. And I'm just, it's shocking to me after all these stories came out that all of this evidence and all these things that were pointing to that direction were completely ignored. And what's even more kind of insidious, or adds more salt to the wound, is how this has actually been reported. The choices of the pictures, they were kind of they've taken pictures from, I guess, their online profiles or pictures. I don't think these were supplied by the families, but they were sort of, kind of covering about how these people had double lives and how they were, sneaking around behind their families and how they were, nobody knew who they were, or what's it called, and that somehow contrasted.
Makes it okay that
doesn't make it okay.
kills?
Of course it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that contrasted with the positive, or at least the kind of innocently curious coverage of Bruce MacArthur himself, calling him jovial, calling him a Santa figure, saying he was just a regular Joe, that he likes gardening and he's a landscaper, and he putting pictures of him going on vacations in Niagara Falls and going on, just being kind of this, looking like this approachable person, but then talking about these people like they're kind of, sneaky
the
vermin
reason
is
for
just
the-
really, 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 really enraging.
So
I think the reason for the approachable, like the Santa and all that sort of stuff, is to show that it's sort of like anybody could, like.
Well,
No,
and he
telling-
actually,
no, I don't think so.
And
I don't-
actually, I mean, Bruce MacArthur did work as a mall Santa. I mean, he.
Yeah. Everybody has good parts to them and everybody has bad parts to them. It's the ones you choose to cover after they kill 5 people is what matters. I'm not saying he
Well,
wasn't.
nobody's like saying that he didn't kill them. Like I think what the point of that in terms of the coverage, like I agree with you that I don't think that there's any reason to talk about sort of whatever dual lives or sort of reasons that the victims may have had for not necessarily sharing every part of their lives with everyone that they knew or their families or whatever. But the idea is that like people, whether they should or not, people try to find patterns or try to find reasons why things happened or why people didn't do something a different way to protect themselves. And I think that they're saying that
that's
there's
a
no
very
way to protect
best
themselves
case scenario
in this thing to talk
interpretation of
about
what happened.
But I mean, like, are they
Saying,
trying to make
like-
a serial killer seem like a good guy? Is what you're saying? Because to me, it's
Yeah.
coming across like they're saying anybody was potentially a victim. Anybody could have been tricked into this false sense of safety and
But that
security.
in itself
and normal
is
guy.
false information because the guy isn't targeting anybody and anybody's at risk. The guy's targeting Middle Eastern people.
Right.
That's the pattern. And when you say
That's a different
giving
point.
someone instructions on, well, basically we're reporting the way we are just because we want people to know that it could be anybody isn't really useful.
No, I'm saying that
So
it-
if it's really
that
could
it-
be anybody, and I'm pretty sure if the killer wasn't a white man, we'd be talking about his priors. We'd be talking about his, the fact
Well,
that he had his
I
own
mean,
sneaky
I
things.
will
I
say-
think you should,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
a different
Racially
point than I was
biased
making.
media coverage
Bruce,
isn't news, and we
there
don't have
is-
to pretend that it's the first time this happens.
Oh,
every time
they
it-
have
ever
talked
does.
about Bruce MacArthur's priors. He had he was convicted in 2003 for assaulting a man with a pipe in 2001, with 2 conditions of his sentence being that he should no longer spend time with male sex workers and avoid an area of Toronto surrounding and including the gay village. the
Yeah,
gay
I
neighborhood.
learned that today. I read about maybe 6 or 7 CBC articles that didn't decide to mention that part.
Well, I mean, I've seen that in a lot of the coverage.
How is somebody
But,
banned from an area, and how do you keep them banned from a specific area?
I'm not sure how those are enforced, but the fact that, a lot of the people that work at the bar that he used to frequent say, oh, we used to see him there all the time. He even was there long enough to develop a nickname, which is the Santa of the bar too, not just of the mall.
Oh.
And the police seem to have just not made those made those connections. The other thing is when you go for clues or as part of your investigation to a Middle Eastern man's family who just vanished in the gay village, and you express shock that he's been living a double life, and I'm like, well, he's a married gay man who faces serious consequences if he was to come out. But you can't say, oh, well, the fact that they led double lives kind of threw off our investigation. It just means that you don't have the right people investigating.
It was the police malfeasance. Was that because this was gay men? Is it because the missing men were racial minorities? Was it both?
I think it's both.
It was all of those
Yeah.
factors.
I definitely think it's both, and it kind of takes me back, and it's like an old, I think it was Chappelle Show sketch, but it was just about how crime is covered and reported and whatnot with and I think in the sketch was with women of color. And then all of a sudden they're like, let's do the same thing, and then they put in a blonde girl in it, and all of a sudden all the cops come and they're like, oh my God, what happened, and all that kind of stuff. So, and I definitely think, and as you pointed out, it seems coincidental that the police sort of upped their investigation as soon as a Caucasian man went missing. So I definitely think it's both. I think if it was 3 women, just 3 women that vanished in that time, not even 5, or I think there's even more, like altogether. I think as soon as you get to like 2-3 women that vanished that were all white, I'm sure news coverage and police coverage would have been huge.
Compare the duration of time where Andrew Kinsman was missing versus how long the other men were missing. Some of the men were missing since 2010.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was, we're looking into it as all those families heard. These are fathers, these are husbands, these are people who know somebody's uncle. Then when Andrew Kinsman came in, I moved to Toronto in September, I saw his poster the first week at school, and I saw the case closed before my academic year ended. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's not a coincidence. That's just, we just got really good in the end.
Yeah.
The organization based in Toronto called the Alliance for South Asian AIDS Prevention actually released a statement alleging that the Toronto police failed to provide adequate resources and effort in their investigations of the disappearance of the 4 South Asian and Middle Eastern men. Quote, what the South Asian and Middle Eastern community has been saying for so long is that the police haven't paid attention to these cases at all. There's always been frustration around that. So this feeling that it had to take a white man to go missing for other people to be found is a statement of how the community was feeling at the time and is still feeling.
And I have friends who are part of that community and obviously who are part of that organization who work there or volunteer there, and I also have a lot of like South Asian friends. There was a lot of community effort within the community to help itself because there wasn't any help coming from the outside. They had, buddy programs where you don't have to walk on your own alone, and they had, I think there was an offer to or some kind of arrangement to have people driven from certain parts of town if they were alone and it was too late at night. Like those are the precautions that, like that alone, if a company is mobilizing its own resources to do those things and it's still being ignored by the police, that if the community is that scared and that's not considered provocative enough for the police to step up their investigation, that just shows where the police throw their priorities.
And it's fascinating to me that now they're saying that there are so many more victims. The alleged killer worked as a landscaper. They're saying that he may have buried
bodies in planters.
Bodies and body parts and planters. They're actually looking at over 30 different properties right now.
And they're also saying anybody who had him do work should come forward because they don't necessarily know everybody as well.
I mean, the fact that it was so pervasive and yet I actually wonder if there's just a level of bad policing. Never mind the bias.
There probably is a level of bad policing, like in any department, but this is a particularly
right.
So how many times would Toronto police have to deal with a serial killer, right?
Well, that's not an excuse.
Well, no, that's what I mean. It's like that's why they don't do as much as they can.
So what's at this point? What's the answer?
To what question?
In terms of the community relations with the police?
I think they're severely damaged. I think everybody's looking forward is gonna. I hope the Toronto police realize that damage is something they have to repair by taking extra precautions. Something like this happens in the future, but this isn't something that communities of color are shocked by. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Amazing representation and amazing reporting on the human side of a killer versus the casting of shadows of suspicion on the murders just because they're people of color is a record as old as civil rights movements. You know what I mean? If we see a white rapist who gets out of jail after 6 months saying, well, he had great swimming time and he was a great athlete and he was a really nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you see, a guy take steal candy from, or maybe not steal candy, I'm using Trayvon Martin as an example and I loosely remember the details, we start talking about how he was always a troublemaker and he was no angel. That shapes people's opinions. That shapes people's biases or feeds into their biases and it doesn't allow conversations to happen. It just pisses people off. And when people are pissed off, it's not good. Because they might end up
So whose responsibility is it now?
To do what?
To fix this problem.
There's a lot on Toronto Police's heads for being more responsive to communities of color and being more interactive and hiring people or at least having connections with the community. I mean, think about how reports on terrorism are always reported, right? The Muslim community always has to step up. They have to be on the front lines against the fights against terrorism, right? This is an example of one community literally being on the front line of fighting this problem, and they were ignored. It just goes to show that if, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
So the Toronto Police have a lot to do.
I think the media as well.
The media too.
The media
absolutely.
definitely, and that's the
I
thing.
don't want
they
to
have
say
news cycles to fill. But
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that it's all the media's
media's
fault or whatever. But I'm seriously disappointed with how the media was covering this. Like, I just said it before. It's just not a fair
Yeah,
picture.
there's a lot of blame to go around, and we'll see what happens as this investigation continues. Thank you, Zaid. And now it's time
Thanks for listening.
for Tito's Midpoint.
This week we're playing Moot Point, and it is Black History Month, so it is related to that. There will be some.
I don't know if we should talk about Black history as being a moot point.
Check with the writers on that.
Wow. It is. There will be 2 answers, and you have to guess which one is moot, or which one is true. In this case.
Okay.
Okay, and I just want to note that we know that there is no one black on the panel
What?
today.
She just had to leave.
Yeah.
Because she heard about this book.
She was like, I'm out of here.
Okay.
All right, Garrett Morgan is responsible for which 2 inventions? Traffic light and gas mask, or gas mask and stop sign?
Gas mask and
I'm
stop
gonna say
sign.
traffic light.
Traffic light.
Traffic light.
I mean,
Traffic light and gas mask.
I'm like, I don't want to be like, I don't have any
or-
answers
yeah.
on this one. Yeah.
Charles Drew is responsible for which of the following? Refrigerator or blood banks?
Charles who?
Drew.
Okay.
Blood banks.
Blood banks.
Refrigerator?
I feel like refrigeration is like a team effort kind of thing, unless he invented a specific part of the cycle.
Blood banks, yeah.
Yes!
Oh.
I am 0 for 2
for
on
2.
this. All right.
Jackie Robinson was the first African American to do what? Play Major League Baseball or hit a home run at Yankee Stadium?
Oh, I thought these were the same.
Play Major League
Yeah,
Baseball.
the first one.
Yeah, that sounds like a...
Because you have to do the one to do the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Next, who was the
He
American?
also played, didn't he has a Montreal connection, right?
There's
he
a different.
started.
There's the Negro baseball league that he played in, and that was in Montreal.
Back in
one
the
of the
day?
teams was in
Yeah.
Montreal, I believe. I believe. I don't know if I'm right. Somebody will, I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong.
We'll
but
get
I
our
think-
research
Yeah,
department
yeah,
on
sure
that.
that
Yeah.
the internet
Somebody will
is much
whisper in
for
my ear.
correcting people.
That's usually me. I got nothing.
He's like, I don't think the internet has a thing for correcting people. They'll probably just let it slide, I think. It's my feeling.
Who was the American singer, actress, and civil rights leader who got her start singing at the Cotton Club in New York City at age 16?
Aretha Franklin?
Was it Dionne Warwick or Lena Horne?
Lena Horne.
Lena
Lena
Horne.
Horne.
Correct.
Sweet.
Who was the last black actress to win the Academy Awards Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 2006?
Viola Davis?
6.
Halle Berry.
2006.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry won Best Actress.
Was it Whoopi Goldberg
Oh yeah, it's an
or Jennifer Hudson?
Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah. There you go.
Dream girl.
Yeah. Whoopi was
love
in
that.
the 90s.
What did she win
She's
for?
right
Ghost.
now,
Ghost.
too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whoopi won for Ghost.
Okay.
What service did the first African American female millionaire, Madame C.J. Walker, provide? Food distribution or beauty products?
Beauty products.
Okay.
And she, no, I know this because
so happy about this?
I'm actually
Okay.
sorry. She was the first black millionaire. She was from Indianapolis,
Okay.
Indiana. My ex is from Indianapolis.
Okay.
Well, near Indianapolis.
And that's,
Indiana.
that's why you know that?
That's why I know this.
Do you need to talk about it?
No, I'm just saying. I knew this. I'm glad.
Let him have his reaction.
Yes, yes.
I knew this. I have. Yeah. Cool.
Good for
Fred
you.
Kerr, friend of the blacks.
What was the first black-owned company to be traded on the New York Stock Exchange? Was it BET, Black Entertainment Television, or Jumpman?
Or what?
Jumpman.
What do they do?
Jumpman is Nike.
Like the
Nike.
shoe.
You know how he
I'm gonna
is.
say
The
Jumpman.
first one.
BET.
It's BET.
Yeah.
I went with sports.
The other
Last
one's a
one.
sports one.
Who was the first African-American car manufacturer in 1916? Charles Richard Patterson or Charles Buick?
I'll say Charles.
I feel like
Buick.
Buick seems like the obvious choice.
Maybe it's a trick
It's a
question.
red herring.
It is a trick question.
Oh, then the first one. Or both?
Charles Richard Patterson.
Oh, what did he?
Can I see the
What car did he make?
Shut up.
Well,
We are
thank
moving
you.
on.
Thank you, Tito, for today's midpoint. And now it's time for talking point number 2, grinding to a halt. So,
Can I grind this away?
no, I don't know what that was. So a tech-based organization called Time Well Spent
Good call. You guys don't deserve the bell on that.
revealed that Grindr is the #1 app that makes users unhappy.
Oh my God, you know what?
Surprise, motherfucker.
They, along with Moment, which is an app tracking screen time, polled 200,000 iPhone users for their results. An astonishing 77% of users said they were unhappy using Grindr.
What do you mean? Isn't that like?
And they spent users spent an average 61 minutes a day on it.
But isn't that the kind of thing where it's like the best thing to happen to you is to be in love, when also the worst thing to happen to you is to be in love? You know what I mean?
Grindr is not about being in love.
This case,
Fair
it's
enough.
Like you are
but
not-
it's the kind of thing that makes you unhappy, but also it's the thing that brings you
Yeah,
happiness.
but like if you're hooking
you know
up,
what I
why is that not making you happy?
It's more of a,
okay.
I shouldn't eat that, but I keep eating it kind
Yeah,
of situation.
that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, Tito, what was your question?
Tito,
If you're
needs
hooking
to-
up on this app, why are you not happy?
How much of your time is spent on Grindr without actually hooking up?
Yeah, the opportunity cost.
I mean, I'm hot,
think.
so I don't have to deal with that.
He doesn't know because he's beautiful.
I'm kidding.
Okay, so Tinder also placed in the top 10 with 56% of unhappy users. All other major social media apps like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat also placed in the top 15 of unhappy users.
Oh yeah.
But like, why? What is the reason
Because
they're
it's a
unhappy?
recipe for unhappiness, comparing yourself to like all these people
Well, yeah.
in the
I
most streamlined, quick way while seeing ads.
But you're also
Sounds
just
like
like
a disaster.
chatting to people.
But come on, you've complained that the apps are frustrating and they're time wasters.
People.
Oh,
are
definitely.
frustrating.
And time
Sometimes I
wasting.
don't even go on them because it's just like too much time that I just don't want to deal with all the messages.
But I also think if you have any kind of insecurities at all, going on any of these apps is just going to heighten them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Facebook
it's definitely
is
an
terrible for that.
antagonistic
Grindr,
experience
Tinder,
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And who doesn't have insecurities? So it's everyone. So it's unhappy.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean,
But that's just dating in general. You're gonna deal with that in any dating with any dating.
No.
app.
This is like
But the
this
apps-
is way quicker. Like,
no. Plus, and I don't know how it is for Tinder. I don't know if you've used Tinder, but on Grindr and the other gay apps, I'm sorry,
a lot
people
more
can be
sexualized.
bitches.
Yeah.
You know, like be rude and like if you don't respond to them, then they're angry and they think you're ignoring them. And
Yeah,
if
they take
if you don't-
positions.
But other people, if you don't respond to them, or if like you'll respond, oh, sorry, not my type, and then they get pissed, like,
Of course not.
yeah, what do you think, you're so hot?
Yeah.
That, yeah. But then if you just ignore, then they're like, oh, you think you're too good?
It's a whole different thing on Tinder anyway, because you can't communicate with somebody that you don't match with. So you kind of
Yeah,
weed
there's
that
that
out.
aspect
I mean,
too. But gay apps are a lot more transactional, a lot more sexual, a lot more charged, a lot more evaluative. So it ends up having a significantly, I don't know,
doesn't
maybe.
sound like the gay people that I know.
Well, we all have an online side. You don't know. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's true. It's like just the apps in general. Like they reflect a lot of the flaws, or they exacerbate, or they're meant to actually take advantage of all the flaws that we have as a community,
Yeah.
which is our shallowness.
They
and
do
our-
actually make
our
me
toxic
unhappy.
masculinity
See,
and
now,
all those
okay,
things.
why do they make you unhappy?
Well, just because then you're always hooking up, and then you're kind of like, but I'm still alone, and it's just kind of sad.
You're not alone. In 15 minutes.
But I'm still,
He'll hook up with you anytime.
That's right.
Should I call
but
you?
I'm still happy when you hook up in the moment. Like I'm not gonna say an app. Like,
Well, here's actually something that has found to make people happy.
what is that?
Orgasms.
Sperm.
Yeah.
The State University of New York carried out a study in which they were able to compare the sex lives of 300 women to one another and their mental health. They noticed that women who have sex regularly without using condoms are less depressed and able to perform better mentally. Given that sperm contains things like serotonin, thyrotropin-releasing hormone, and melatonin.
It's also just like a genetic thing, you know what I mean? When you start putting in factors that are different from like the nature of human beings, you know what I mean? Like condoms are not something that is built into the body, so of course that's going to change the dynamic in some respects. So like it doesn't surprise me that like the most sort of like
Having condom
natural
sex.
way of having sex is like the most positive way of having, you know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
that's not a shocking
Uninhibited, yeah.
statistic.
But what, like you talk about these benefits, are we talking about ingesting it or?
No.
Like what, like are we using it as topical lotion or what do you mean? It contains
No,
all these
I've
things.
seen that
goes
movie.
well.
I've seen that movie.
The presence of semen
Oh my God.
inside.
Oh.
Inside.
Inside what?
The vagina.
Orifices.
Let's get that plush vagina back here.
I
so
know.
we can give Tito a
Not o-
Just do the hand motion a few more times. Yeah.
Inside.
no, and
So having jizz in you is good, is what you're saying.
yes, if you're having
Thank
sex
you.
without a condom, you are less depressed. Depressive symptoms and suicide attempts are lower, and depression scores went down.
All of this because of a condom?
I think this study
It's a
failed
combination
to.
of things.
No, because
The study failed to control for the fact that condomless sex is usually within monogamous relationships, and if they're having that much sex and they're monogamous,
Not
sounds like
anymore,
things are going
Henny.
great.
This
You
sounds
know?
like a study
Sounds
by
like it's not
a
the
college
condom.
kid.
Sounds like things are going
to
well.
convince his girlfriend not to use condoms anymore.
you're gonna be happy. You're gonna be so much happier.
Exhibit study A.
Yeah. No, of course, I would like the corollary study done on gay men and whether or not.
The what?
You just want to be
benefits
part
them
of the
as well?
study,
Yeah.
don't
It
you?
benefits them as well.
You want to have
Yeah.
sex with 200,000 people.
What?
You just want to have sex with 200,000
think
men.
you
That's what
He
this
said
is
that.
about.
not
Or
me.
knowing that you're not going to contract anything wearing a condom will make you happier. So
Well, I mean, I would like to. I think there should be a study of gay men and condomless sex, and if having jizz up your butthole makes you happier.
But yes,
makes
I'm down participating.
Oh, you're down. Okay.
Those studies, were they
15
surveying
minutes.
couples or were they surveying
Just-
random women?
Just
or?
college women.
Wow. Okay.
So there you
That's
go.
a lot of condomless sex going on in college.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Does that surprise you?
That surprises
I don't know.
me.
I think we'll be seeing a generation of I don't know.
Trying to think back on my days in
I
college.
was like, what was her name
think,
again? Oh,
I
God.
think for a lot of reasons,
Generation of mistakes.
I think condom fatigue is there for a lot of reasons, and it's not just for gay men; it's for straight people as well.
College kids are also using probably terrible condoms that they get for free at the clinic. They don't.
Those are really good.
spend
Those
the
are
money
good.
That's the same
on skin or
condoms.
anything.
I
No,
use
not
those.
like
They work. I'm
no.
still
You
here.
get the thick ones there. Those are like the terrible ones. Those are brutal.
Oh, you want
So
some
I can't
like
spend the $30 on
Sensitive.
Yes,
those,
where you get
like,
skin
those,
or
like,
bear.
So
yeah.
you like the thin ones?
Yes.
rather- okay.
Yeah.
Well, you like it thick, so
Giggity.
tell us what's
you know what?
what?
Everyone does.
what's your bop of the week?
My bop of the week is MO, featuring Mr. Easy and Lotto Boys, and it's called Bad Vibe.
Mo.
Yeah, it's a girl.
The song is called Mo. Mo.
No, it's called Bad Vibe.
Oh, the
The
bop is
recording
the.
artist. I
okay.
actually thought she was Mo.
No, it's a girl group from the UK. It's a different.
Oh,
okay,
it's not
cool.
the M with
No.
the O with the slash.
No,
through
no,
the-
no, no, no,
oh.
no.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
That's why I said MO and not Mo, okay? Jesus.
God.
Let's move on.
Okay, well, let's move on to subscribing
Did you
to
say
us
something
on
about gay guys being
YouTube.
bitchy?
Helps us greatly, costs you nothing. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Press the red button.
It's just me.
You can also check us out on Revry, the world's largest online LGBTQ streaming service. Check us out there as well as the rest of their great original online content. You can also check out our crowdfunding site, Patreon, patreon.com/thepointguys. You can help us there. That helps us. You have no idea how much. We're also on iTunes for the audio podcast. Check us out there. Our website for everything The Point is thepointguys.net, but you should also check us out on Twitter and Facebook at The Point Guys, and you can let us know what you think about anything we talked about right there on the Facebook.
In the comments.
No, on Facebook, that you have something to say about some topics.
What do you feel about condomless sex,
Yeah.
internet?
Yeah, let us know.
And then
Until
I don't
then,
remember what
we have
else
a
we
new show
talked
every
about.
Tuesday, so we will see
you next Tuesday
on The Point.